All right, everybody, welcome, welcome. We are streaming now through, well, we're not streaming, we're recording this interview on Zoom because Be Live didn't work, but we're from the LRNA-Chicago chapter, and today what we're talking about is the inadequacy of the return back to work plans, and I'm going to talk about it from the City Colleges of Chicago perspective, and talk about it too also in terms of grade schools, and Daniel's going to talk about grade schools in general and what's been happening. So maybe I guess I should start because right now I'm a college professor and at Herald Washington College, and the colleges were supposed to have their individual plans. So in Herald Washington, most of the employees were supposed to work remotely. And then what happened is that I guess a district administrator got upset because the building was empty. Of course, it's going to be empty. People are working remotely. And so then we had to bring the advisors back to work last Monday when they were ready to work remotely. Maybe a few were going to come in, So then what they've done, which is not completely ignorant, but why even risk them? They put the advisors in one room and the students in the other. And they were doing remote advising. And so we've been told, I've been getting phone calls from other professionals saying that they're asking us to come back to work on the 17th. Administrators have to come back to work. And the district basically reneged on our individual college plans. And these are plans that faculty had worked on, that I had, been told about as a union rep, that I was happy with. I didn't want people to come back into the building, but, they had safety measures in place. And so what's happened is that they've implemented these plans all over the city colleges and places like Olive Harvey. They have a testing center where the capacity is 30 students and they had 20. You explain to me how they're going to have the proper distancing for that. So there's been a lot. So right now, sorry, life is happening as always. We are doing a vote of no confidence against Chancellor Salgado, Provost Potter, Carol Dunning. She's a talent director. She's the head of HR basically, and legal counsel Carla Gowen. We've been in negotiations since March, fighting for everything, and it's ridiculous. They didn't have to risk anyone. And what's happened since then is that they had a COVID case at Herald Washington, and right now the president and vice president are quarantined for 14 days. And I'm telling you, man, this thing, the advisors that are there, they were thanked by the president, which was a beautiful gesture. But who knows if they've been exposed now to this virus, and they're calling me asking me what to do. But what was really insidious, so they find out on Wednesday and they have to work with the Department of Health, and then the message goes out on Thursday, which to me was still too late. In the message, the Chancellor Salgado indicated that, if you weren't in contact with someone for more than 15 minutes, then you should be okay. Daniel, is there a health guideline that I don't know about that says you need to be in contact with a sick person for 15 minutes? Have you heard about this?
No, I've it's been floating around now, but it seems like a tool to convince people that, it seems to be somewhat of a corporate tool to basically convince workers that,
Fine, you come to work, you're fine. And
exactly.
And I don't blame the president or vice president at all. I don't. They're not the ones that decided to bring people back into the building. This also, I want to say that this vote is historic because in the past, it's been faculty who voted no confidence, but now we have 1708 clerical staff, professionals, part-time professionals, security officers, other groups, adult educators are probably going to come on, as well as CLOC, because everybody's deeply concerned about the safety of the students, the safety of community, and the safety of union sisters and brothers and siblings, as well they should be. I am terrified for the advisors that are in the building right now. I'm terrified for the security officers, whoever was in the building last week. And 15 minutes is ridiculous. I actually talked, I'm not a doctor, but I did talk to some health professionals, and I asked them, if I'm exposed to a sick person for less than 15 minutes, is it guaranteed that I'm not going to get sick, right? And my friend who's an RN, she was like, that's preposterous. All you need is one interaction and the 15 minutes don't matter. Think about it. People spit on accident. I mean, and so that I find that really, really egregious and disingenuous. And if it is a Department of Health, shame on the Department of Health for lying to people.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that's the case, But who knows? Who knows where this 15-minute rule is coming from? And frankly, I think what they should do is quarantine the people that suspect of being sick and have them tested.
Right.
Why don't they do that? Tracing is not enough, right? And so it's a problem. It's a problem. And so you probably have heard about the case in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Well, I was actually just going to bring that up because I think it's a really good example. It's exemplary in terms of what could be our near future in terms of reopening. And at this school, North Paulding High School in Dallas, Georgia, where school was opened, a student took a picture during one of their transitions in between periods, and you could just see dozens of kids crammed inside of a narrow hallway, the majority in which were not wearing masks. And the only thing that you could think about is how it could be potentially spreading at that moment to custodians, to all staff, not just teachers, not just, the people that work in the lunchroom, you know what I mean? Support team. It just kind of goes down the line, and they ended up suspending this person for taking this picture.
Are you kidding me? I didn't hear about that.
They did. They ended up suspending a 15-year-old girl. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was a girl there that attends the high school, was suspended for taking that picture, and the students are actually being prohibited from taking pictures.
Wow.
So
we've been encouraging our members to take pictures, because let me tell you, the thing that happened our union president went to Herald, Washington on this last Monday, because that's when the advisors were being asked to come back. And the director of security told them that if he wanted to speak to the union members, he had to talk to them out on the street. And he got kicked out of another college. Why? It's always been our labor right to visit our people, right? And so what's he afraid of, right? And that I told the college president, I'm like, that is unacceptable. It's an unfair labor practice. You cannot do that, And I think they're hiding. They're trying to hide the truth, the reality. And that was my fear. I was prepared to unschool my kids, because it's difficult for them to keep their masks on all the time, but to have them like this crammed like freaking cattle in a cattle cart, that's unconscionable, man. There is no way, and so I was actually referencing the second grader that got COVID, and because I know this is what pisses me off too. Oh my gosh, these parents. I'm sorry. Parents, it's you that are aggravating me this week as well. Parents who think that the COVID cases are exaggerated and that you're only going to get infected if you don't wear masks. And I'm telling you right now that Herald, Washington is an example of people that are being careful wearing their masks. And I believe it was at Olive Harvey that there was another case. It was one of the other city colleges where they had another case. Masks aren't a guarantee. Right? Even the mask and the shield is not 100% guaranteed. So how can you tell me that having all these kids in this hallway without masks, that they're going to be safe, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the girl was 15 years old. She was suspended. Talk about the courageousness on her part, because obviously it took for her, a 15-year-old girl, to be like, wow, this doesn't seem right. Let me take a picture and show the world what's going on. So if a 15-year-old girl can have that type of presence of mind, more so than a policymaker, more so than a so-called leader, if she can have more presence of mind than the administrators at her school, then that tells you a lot. So, and I think it also speaks with the reopenings of all workplaces, or I think it speaks to the negligence of containing the spread of this virus from the federal government to local governments. Because now local governments are getting a taste of their own medicine to what they've done to their citizens by the federal government, where they're not able to receive any funding or receive any support from the federal government, which is pretty much what they do to their constituents on a yearly basis.
Absolutely.
So this reopening thing, it's not bigger than the families and the people that could potentially die. It's certainly not. But there is a broader, issue here where it's like, okay, these people are willing to wait around for people to get sick and die in order for them to responsibly handle what's already been named a pandemic, a public health crisis.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's my thing too. They're not being responsible. They're not keeping us
Right.
safe. And I hate to say, it's going to take for somebody to die before they act. Even then, I don't know that's responsible, because now, look, to me, it is a huge deal that we've had a COVID case. And I was under the impression that given that they were going to close down the building for 2 weeks, and they're not doing that. Why? What are they going to lose? The students probably don't want to go into the building. What student in their right mind would? You know? So I really think they haven't thought this through. I think they're coming up with policies that are absurd and not well thought out, and we're the ones that are going to pay for it. We're the ones that are expendable, and that's not right. You know, not by any means. And so it's really disgusting. I've been really just trying to be proactive and do change, and you know, the city has since said, oh well, after August 20th, then people will be able to go remote. Why wait? Why wait until August 20th when we have the plans in place now? Let them go remote tomorrow. You know, there is no reason to wait until August 20th. So what? So other people will get infected and things will get worse? And that's the thing that pisses me off, you know. And, you know, parents need to understand, because I think a lot of people, not a lot, but some parents have been upset that the Chicago Teachers Union basically, you know, said we're going to go on a safety strike, they were going to take the vote, and then they backed off. They're like, okay, remote learning. I empathize with the parents who work full time. I empathize with emergency workers, but I say that those people that cannot work remotely, one should get a guaranteed income, a living wage income, and they should have the support for childcare they need. Period. I work remotely. I know it's a privilege. I have a PhD. I work at a college. It's a privilege. And it's very possible that I will be working full time and taking care of my kids and possibly homeschooling them if they don't get into the public schools. But I have the luxury of being able to work my set hours from like 6 in the morning until 4, and then I can homeschool them afterwards. I know it. And I'm not going to be perfect, you know, and I'm not even saying remote learning is perfect, but to me, it's better than having my kids die. They're my treasures. And, you know, my kids are my everything. And I'm telling you, I don't know. I'd probably go insane if something happened to them because of negligence, because some administrator decided that enrollment was more important or funding was more important or some other ridiculous metric that has nothing to do with public safety, nothing to do with our children, you know? And I'm, oh golly, but it's been a difficult week, and I wish I could. I really want to have a way of educating parents so they understand that we know remote learning is going to be difficult, but the option is worse, you know, and these plans haven't been thought out properly, and your kids will not be 100% safe if they wear masks. They need a vaccine. They need a vaccine that is accessible and affordable, and they need to have science-based protocol, not this 15-minute bullshit. You know? That's what we need. And we don't have that yet. We don't, you know.
No, and you know, I'm certainly not a doctor or a public health expert, but you know, but you know, the data is there. You know, over 160,000 people have died from this thing in a matter of 4 months. That's easy math for anyone to come up.
Every 80 seconds, somebody dies. Every 80 seconds.
Absolutely. So, and for the people that want to continue to downplay this, tell that to the 160,000 people that have lost their lives. Tell that to their families, to friends, to, you know, because everybody means something to somebody.
Truth.
So why don't you talk to them and about how real this thing is? And when you consider, you know, reopening and, you know, just, you know, the negligence of it, not just reopening, you know, in terms of education, but businesses, barbershops, you know, nail salons, bars and places that are starting to be reclosed again, because then again, this thing was not contained. Churches, this thing was not contained from the OnStar. They knew that it wasn't, and they continued on anyways. And there was very few reasons for it, but greed.
Right. And I you know, I was traveling across the country, and people may think this irresponsible, but we got tested for COVID, all of us, and it was a good thing for me to travel. I was experiencing really bad depression, still am.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were traveling through these states, what I saw infuriated me. Entire families not wearing masks. People purposefully ignoring the rules of not wearing masks in businesses. A lot of them Trump supporters, right? And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that your political convictions are so strong that you're going to jeopardize the lives of your children and your babies.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, we were in South Dakota on the reservation, and this guy wasn't wearing his mask at the gas station, and the gas station attendant threw him out. She didn't throw him out. She was very polite about it, and he cussed her out. And we thanked her. My husband went and thanked her. In fact, I think he was ready to support her. She did the principal thing and said, "Look, we have a policy. You have to wear your mask for." And he cusses her out. And I was like, to hell with you, dude. Play with your life, but don't play with ours.
Right.
And that's just, God, man, I tell you. But yeah, I really do think that we're at a critical point in history, and the government, federal, state, local, administration is failing us. They are,
Mm-hmm.
and I really think we need to keep uniting, just like we are in this vote of no confidence. We stood in solidarity with the Chicago Teachers Union. They had a huge action last week, and they had a car caravan that lasted over an hour. Union leaders, parents that were demanding that their kids be safe. So I think we're going to have to keep pushing the federal government, state, local, to provide the resources. And, I think what's going to happen in the meantime is we're going to have to help each other out. I'm willing to open up our house if you don't have a place to leave your kid, to say, hey, we'll take care of your kids while you're at work. Don't even pay us. We'll support
Right.
it. Kids will be safe, and we'll teach them. But that should be, again, that should be the government's responsibility.
Right.
Right? And you can't tell me there aren't enough unemployed nannies and people that would be willing to do the work. You do the background checks, make sure they don't have issues, so they can support. And I mean, I'm really angry, Daniel, but I was very happy to see that at least the Chicago Teachers Union was able to do the principal thing. Now let's do it nationally.
Absolutely.
Nationally, and then, like you said, every business, religious institutions. I was infuriated that so many people got infected from one individual. It was like 91 people at this church.
Wow.
Unnecessary. That's a thing. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, how about if I read a poem and you read a poem? Do you want to do it that way?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
thinking about this piece a lot. It's called Our Children Like Stars. I actually wrote it for my friend Jay Menta, who suffered from a stroke, 3 strokes actually, and I think about him a lot. Who doesn't have health care? Oh my gosh, it's all over the world, right? We need free health care.
We do.
Our children's feet like stars will guide us down infinite paths of love, beyond the scope of Hollywood putrefaction, beyond the commercial din of consumption, beyond the burnout romance that rips young hearts in real life, because these hearts too are enslaved by billion-dollar lies. Our children will pitter-patter towards a better world, setting hard hearts free, dancing towards new planets, free minds made of missiles, liberating. Children traversing down these roads alight with angelic discourse towards worlds within our reach. Our children will guide us down infinite paths of love, and we will walk side by side into the possible.
Wow, I love that one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really speaks to the moment, or any moment really, about how important the youth are, and if you want to know anything about a society, see how they treat their children.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
Because and we're seeing that now in the youth right now. They're the ones leading the movement on the streets. They're the ones, leading the movement to defund the police and get the police out of schools.
Right, that's right.
They're the ones really leading, the next movement, or the next, kind of the next stage of this. So, yeah, I love that one.
Absolutely. And I wonder, people have said this to me, that is why TikTok, that is why Donald Trump has written this order to ban TikTok. Well, that's not a law, idiot. But and banning is fascist. I'm sorry, and I'm not the biggest fan of TikTok, but that is egregious, man. And so people have said that the reason he's banning TikTok is because young people have been organizing to that platform.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen some political videos on there that are really fucking good, and it's ironic because someone mentioned this on Twitter about how they're attacking TikTok, you know, as a platform when they allow Facebook to collect our data and sell them to corporations. When they allow, you know, Google to do it, they allow these other platforms to, you know, to spy, you know, to give data, to spy on us, to, you know, to track our GPS routes, all these different things. But TikTok is somehow, you know, the root of the problem. You know, it just doesn't make sense at all.
No, not at all. And I think, oh my gosh, I'm just, this guy, I can't take him. You know, I can't stand him.
Yeah.
If you want to ban something, Trump, ban the KKK.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So do you want to read one of your pieces?
Yeah. So today, one of my pieces appeared in the People's Tribune.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always nice to see your work anywhere, whether digitally or in print or what have you. So it's called An Ode to Dom. If I live today, may it be with hope, with dignity. If I live today, may it be without shame, without repression. If I live today, may it be with integrity, with freedom. If I live today, may it be without doubt, without resentment.
That's beautiful. What was the last one? I'm sorry, I got all into it. The last thing you
said? It will be without doubt, without resentment.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Dan, and your endings are just perfect. You know, and you have such a talent for rhythm. That's something that, as a poet, I grapple with it. You know, I'm working on a piece right now, and I read it out loud. I read it. It takes me a long time to get my piece right. You know, but you're an amazing poet. I'm so pleased to know you and to have you as a brother and an editorial board member of Unity. You know, and a comrade in LRNA. You know, so I'm thankful for that. Well,
I appreciate that comment.
I think, thank you. I really, hey, and if you young people, old people, we don't discriminate. If you want to connect with other revolutionaries, if you would like to be a member of the League of Revolutionaries for New America Chicago chapter, our doors are open. You don't even have to be a communist or a Marxist. If you believe kids should be safe, if you believe people should have enough to eat, healthcare, housing, guaranteed income, have jobs, have basic necessities, our doors are open to you. You know, truly. So Daniel, I think we're at a critical moment, and I do think we need to start uniting with each other and figuring out how to educate people, like the parents who are discontented, like the workers who are angry at us because we're staying at home, so that they recognize that we need to stand together. We need to, right? The failures again, Trump on down, to the city councilman, to the mayor, you know, the police chiefs, all these, that we have to stand together to have a system that's cooperative, where we're not expendable, where we're not, you know, exploited or dehumanized, or, you know, oh, it's okay if this many people die for the economy. Bull.
Right.
One death, one sickness is one too many. No amount of money or metrics can tell me otherwise. No amount. You know, but these people have no heart. Hold on a sec. Life is happening. Little man, I can hear you. Antonio. Yeah, you goof. Stop singing. I love you. Stop. He's doing it on purpose. Sorry, viewers. I'm going to get you on the show to be my co-host. We joked that our children would make better presidents than Donald Trump. My better president than Donald Trump. Antonio would have policies. I'm telling you, you know. And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Preposterous. So let's talk about vision, because we talk about the deficiencies and we talked about guaranteed income. Let's talk about a vision of an educational system that really meets the needs of our students and college students. What does that look like for you, Daniel?
One thing me and the committee have been talking about is that you can't take care of the schools if you don't take care of the communities, which has been said by a number of organizers and activists and people that are already out there doing the work. Which, by the way, has been kind of the small glimmer of light of this entire thing in terms of the pandemic and whatnot. That there continues to be people out there that are doing the work, that have been organizing on these issues for years, and that they're the ones that deserve the credit and deserve the platform to speak, and that it's the rest of us that kind of catch up to these people, who are really on the front lines. So I did want to say that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But the vision is for schools to be community, to be owned by the community, should be community owned. Politicians that have never been educators, that have never, cared for a child in a way that an educator does, or that has never, been an educator in any capacity, shouldn't have any say in what schools do and the way the kids should be taught. Ultra, wealthy people who don't even send their kids to public school should never have any say in what a public school should do. It should be the surrounding communities of that public school that have a say on whether, a school or an institution opens or not, or what have you, whatever the case may be, anything that has to do with the school, what the curriculum, what their children are being taught. So the ultimate vision is for a community owned, for communities to own their schools, not just through school boards of executives of important, quote unquote, important people that have no connection to the community at all. That it should be community owned and community driven. And that goes the same for higher education as well. Maybe even twofold, because a lot of places get torn down and gentrified, and a lot of people get displaced in the name of the ivory towers. So that might be twofold for the higher education system.
Right. Well, for me, a vision of higher education, one, that the higher education be free, and that the students be allowed to grow their intellect and critical thinking that goes beyond the job market. Why should they be limited? That they're not shackled by debt. That that they change their majors if they want to. Right? It's so punitive now to change your major. Your financial aid rides on it. I would hate. I tell my students a lot: don't take out a loan. Please don't take out a loan. Live with your parents. Eat ramen. Do not take out a loan, because they will be shackled with debt for the rest of their lives. Right. I'm shackled by debt for the rest of my life.
Same here.
I think that is one of the greatest disservices. That whatever their speculative capital, it doesn't matter. They would freaking sell the air if they could. But young people can't buy homes now. They can't buy cars. They can't get ahead. You could have two people working full time and they're not going to get ahead, and it's unconscionable to me. Education used to be this idea of the great liberator. It's not anymore, and I also think that people need to reimagine in a cooperative society what work looks like. So we're not chained to 40 or 80 hours. I think with the advances in technology, people could work 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, the capitalist system won't allow it. The ruling class won't allow it. But that way people contribute still and validate other work. I was talking to a writer earlier. His name's David Green, and he's a stay-at-home dad. And I was telling him he's got the important job. He's raising that toddler. I may be making my paycheck every 2 weeks, but my husband has the most important job. He's raising my kids. He's teaching them. So we need to reconceptualize what contribution is to society, right? I love my husband and I appreciate everything he does, but I also think that society doesn't see it that way. They think he's, in fact, they're like, oh my gosh, a man at home taking care of the kids. Like, what's wrong with him? Shut up.
Right.
It's work, and it's hard work. It's difficult.
It is.
So I someday my thing is that there'll be free higher education for the public schools, that they won't be so standardized, test driven. I want a curriculum.
Oh my goodness.
I want a curriculum that's going to raise good human beings. Because kids are naturally curious, I think. They want to learn science. They want to learn math, you know, and to shove these damn tests. I felt for my son who was taking standardized tests in the 3rd grade, in the 4th grade. What the hell
Yep.
for? Right? I mean, it's just I don't understand what's the purpose. So some corporation can make money? It's just ridiculous. This is nothing about their intelligence or their emotional intelligence. This is it's preposterous. It's a big sham in education, you know.
It is. It is, and I mean, you know, and I'm sure there's a number, you know, there's a lot of research being done on this, but you know, the testing industrial complex is real.
Oh, I know.
You know, what I mean, you know, and a lot of them are monopolies. It's the same company, you know, cornering the market on this thing, you know, and you know, because I can remember taking standardized testing and I hated it. You know, taking it from probably 2nd or 3rd grade all the way through high school. You know, you want to get to the next grade, take this test. You want to get into high school, take this test. You want to get into college, take this test. You want to get into grad school, take this test.
Take the test, yep.
You know, if you don't do good enough, pay for it again and take it again. Yep. You want to be a teacher, take a test. You know, like it's absolutely ridiculous. And another thing that I would add in terms of vision, property taxes should not dictate whether a school gets funding or not.
Right.
We have to gut that completely. You know, schools should be funded according to need.
Yes.
If a school needs a disproportionate amount, that's what they need to be given. If a school is already well funded, has been well funded, or like private schools, they have endowments where millions of dollars just sit.
Yeah, what's up with that? And they're giving all these scholarships and breaks from the government. I don't understand that. I do not understand that. I know it's a capitalist trick, but what the hell?
Yeah.
Charter schools too, you know? I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think we have the capacity to fight for a better world, but it's going to come with struggle. We're seeing it now. They're not going to give us anything we don't fight for, you know? And so it's important that we maintain that vision of what could be and think about our children and each other, you know? So I think that's beautiful. That's very well said. It's kind of in line with my free higher ed. Well, you know what? All public schools should be good schools. All of them.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't have to be such a quagmire. I shouldn't have to move from my awesome apartment so I can get my kid to a good school. That's absurd, man. Chicago's terrible. Chicago's the worst. We've moved twice already to make sure our kid goes to a good school. Finally, we had to move to a place where we could afford the rent. So we sent Antonio to a private Catholic school, but $650 a month. And no, have siblings. Nope, we pulled him. And if he doesn't get into the public school, guess what? I'm gonna be teaching full time. 2 kids, you know. We'll see how that goes. But I thought we could close out with a poem, and I don't know if you'd like to go first. Do you have another one to share?
Yeah, let me see if I can find one. Maybe something a little bit more fresh or what have you. Let's see.
And I got one while you're looking. If you want, I can read the one. So this is one that the People's Tribune published. I don't remember when, and it surprised me that they chose it, but it's short, but I love it. It's called Inextricably Interwoven. We are inextricably interwoven like the yarn our grandmas used to craft warm scarves. Each thread unique, bright, colors tied tight, one knot at a time. A web of love connected through the ages. Pearl, knit, knit, pearl. Alone, fragile, strong, and delicate married tendrils that will never be torn apart. And I dedicate that to the professional security officers, part-time professionals, clerical staff, education, adult education workers, the janitors, the students, the community members. I dedicate that poem to you guys right now in the struggle.
Wow. I mean, it's, you know, and it speaks to it because, you know, we're all connected. Absolutely. We're all connected to each other. You know, when we were young and the first thing that we learned, or one of the biggest concepts that we learned, like scientifically, was about the ecosystem.
Amen, brother.
And how the ecosystem it's every being, every living thing has its part in this, what they, came to call the circle of life. Everybody has a part. So why would we as humans go against, what I mean? Like our purpose as beings, as living things, is to be connected to one another and do our part to keep the cycle going. So,
right. Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. And the virus proves that, right?
Yes, it does.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. But
I got one that I wrote recently. It's new. I haven't tinkered with it.
Oh, love it. Let's hear it. I love
it. It's quite blunt though. It's called "Fuck Your Economy."
Ooh, bring it, brother.
Yeah. Okay, so put on your capes and save the economy. An economy that harms, an economy that abandons, an economy that crashes every 4 to 6 years. Put your life on the line for meager wages and funding. Put the lives of children and families on the line so rulers can maintain and increase their profits. Put on your capes and save a nation that uses you, spits on you, then disposes you.
Damn. Way to bring it off the hook.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way to close out, my brother. And I thank you for your solidarity and your words. And I know it takes courage to speak up, but we have to. We can't take this down anymore. And we have to fight for our children. We have to
Absolutely.
fight for each other. So thank you for watching. Sorry the live stream didn't work. We'll sort that out. And Daniel, it's always a pleasure, man. I love listening to your work. Keep on, my friend. Keep on.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay, comrade. Until next time.
All righty.
Take care.